We are one day away from Super Bowl 60, and the reality of it is finally settling in for this fan base. The New England Patriots are about to step onto the biggest stage in football once again, and everything happening right now inside the team points to how seriously this moment is being handled. What stands out immediately is how calm and deliberate the approach has been, especially when you look at the final injury report and the way this roster has managed its health heading into the game. The biggest takeaway on the Patriots side is that there are no injury designations for some of the most discussed names of the week. Thayer Munford Jr., who dealt with a knee issue earlier in the week, was limited on Wednesday and Thursday, but returned as a full participant on Friday and carries no designation into the Super Bowl, as the backup left tackle behind Will Campbell and Morgan Moses. His availability adds important depth to an offensive line that will be tested heavily in this game. Even more significant is the status of Drake Maye. After concerns surfaced last week when he missed a practice, it became clear that the absence was illness-related, not injury-related. Throughout this week, Maye was a full participant, has no injury designation, and is entering his first Super Bowl completely healthy. There are no restrictions, no limitations, and no hesitation from the team about his readiness. That alone tells you how much confidence the Patriots have in their quarterback at this moment. The real tension sits with the players listed as questionable. Joshua Farmer practiced fully throughout the week despite dealing with a hamstring issue. Given the Patriots' depth at defensive tackle, with Milton Williams and Christian Barmore leading the group, and Q's Tonga and Corey Davis providing rotational support, there is optimism that Farmer will be available if needed. Leonard Taylor also remains an option after his impact in the AFC Championship game. Reminding everyone how deep this defensive front truly is, Harold Landry is the name that continues to draw the most attention. Limited on Wednesday, absent on Thursday, and limited again on Friday, Landry is expected to play, but the question is not availability, it is effectiveness. He logged only 10 snaps in the divisional round and did not play in the AFC Championship. Despite that, his presence at media availability, his movement, and his own words suggest a player determined to be on the field. The uncertainty is how many snaps he can realistically handle in a game of this magnitude. Then there is Robert Spielman, arguably the most important injury situation on the entire roster. A defensive captain who wears the green dot, Spielman's absence has a measurable impact on this unit. When he is off the field, missed tackles nearly double, a statistic that underscores how central he is to the Patriots' defensive identity. After resting on Wednesday, he returned as a limited participant on Thursday and Friday and remains questionable. But his confidence, mobility, and mindset all point toward a player who expects to play. Watching him move and listening to how he talks about the game leaves a strong impression that he understands exactly what is at stake on the other side. The Seattle Seahawks arrived relatively healthy, with most of their roster listed as full participants. The biggest concern was rookie safety Nick Emenwari, who appeared visibly limited earlier in the week after an ankle issue. By Friday, however, he was a full participant with no injury designation. That matters because this Seahawks defense is loaded with talent and physicality, and they will challenge every inch of the Patriots' offensive line. Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, Michael Onwenu, and the rest of the group will need to play their best game of the season to control the trenches. One detail that perfectly captures the mindset of this Patriots team came from the final practice. In an unusual move, Mike Vrabel sent players back inside after a special teams session and blasted halftime show-level music through the stadium speakers for 14 minutes. The goal was simple: simulate the chaos, the noise, and the disruption of the Super Bowl halftime environment. It was creative, unconventional, and intentional, showing a coaching staff that is thinking about every possible edge, both physically and mentally. As kickoff approaches, the nerves are real, but so is the confidence. This team looks prepared, focused, and aware of the opportunity in front of them. Health, discipline, and execution will decide everything, and right now, the Patriots believe they are ready to handle all three. What do you think about the Patriots' injury situation and preparation heading into this Super Bowl? And how confident are you in this team bringing the Lombardi Trophy back to New England? When you step back and really absorb everything surrounding this team right now, what becomes clear is that this Super Bowl is not being treated as a moment, but as a process. The Patriots are not acting wide-eyed or overwhelmed by the stage. They're acting like a group that understands exactly why they are here and what details matter most when the margins are this thin. That mindset shows up not only in practice routines and injury management, but in how players and coaches talk about responsibility, preparation, and execution. This game is going to be decided in the trenches, and the Patriots know it. The Seahawks defense presents one of the toughest collective challenges they've faced all season. The presence of players like DeMarcus Lawrence, Ernest Jones, and Byron Murphy means there is no weak point to exploit. Every snap up front is going to demand discipline and communication. That's why the health of the offensive line is such a central storyline. Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, Michael Onwenu, and the interior group are being asked to deliver their most complete performance of the year, not just in pass protection, but in controlling the tempo of the game. If that unit holds up, it changes everything about how this offense can operate. On the defensive side, the Patriots' identity revolves around structure and accountability. Robert Spillin's importance cannot be overstated. He is the one setting alignments, making checks, and ensuring that gaps are filled correctly. When he is on the field, tackling efficiency improves dramatically. When he is off, the defense loses its backbone in the middle. His leadership goes beyond the stat sheet, and in a game where Seattle will look to attack the middle of the field with precision, his presence could be the difference between a stop and a drive that swings momentum. Harold Landry's situation adds another layer of intrigue. Even if he is limited in snaps, his mere presence forces adjustments. Offensive coordinators have to account for him, chip him, slide protection toward him. That alone can create opportunities for others along the defensive front. The Patriots do not need Landry to play a full workload. They need him to be effective in key moments. Third downs, red zone situations, late game pressures. Those are the moments that define Super Bowls. What stands out as well is the emotional balance this team has struck. Mike Vrabel's comments about allowing players time with their families while still emphasizing preparation reveal a coaching philosophy rooted in trust. This is not a staff trying to tighten the screws unnecessarily. It's a staff confident that the work has been done and that the players understand what is required. That balance matters, especially in a week filled with media obligations, travel, and distractions that can easily derail less mature teams. Drake Maye stands at the center of it all, fully healthy, no limitations, stepping into his first Super Bowl with the full confidence of the organization. There is no hesitation in how the Patriots are approaching this game plan with him. That tells you everything about where he is in his development and how quickly he has earned the trust of those around him. Super Bowls often come down to quarterbacks making calm decisions under extreme pressure, and the Patriots believe Maye is ready for that test. As kickoff approaches, the anticipation builds not just because of the stakes, but because of the sense that this team has embraced every part of the journey to get here. The preparation has been intentional. The mindset has been steady. The health, while not perfect, is manageable. Nothing about this feels accidental. Whether it ends with a Lombardi trophy or not, the Patriots are stepping into this game fully aligned with who they are and how they want to play. There is also an unspoken pressure that comes with this game, and it's something Patriots fans understand better than most. Every Super Bowl appearance carries history with it, expectations that don't exist for other franchises. This group knows that. They feel it. But what's interesting is how little that weight seems to be affecting their preparation. Inside the building, this is not about legacy talk or comparisons to past eras. It's about this roster, this coaching staff, and this specific opportunity. You can see it in how methodical everything has been. Practices aren't rushed. Adjustments aren't reactive. There's a quiet confidence in how situations are being handled, especially with players who aren't at 100%. No one is being forced back early. No one is being hidden behind vague updates. Everything points to a staff that trusts its depth and trusts its plan. That matters when you're facing a Seahawks team that thrives on chaos, physicality, and momentum swings. Seattle is going to test the Patriots mentally as much as physically. They will try to speed the game up, disguise coverages, and force mistakes early. That's why communication is such a focal point this week. Defensive checks, offensive protection calls, pre-snap recognition. These are the small details that don't show up in highlight reels, but decide championships. The Patriots believe they are better prepared in that area, and preparation is the one advantage that never disappears once the game starts. Another thing worth noting is how comfortable this team seems with adversity. Injuries, close games, late season pressure, playoff intensity, none of it feels new to them anymore. They've already lived through moments where things didn't go perfectly and still found ways to respond. That experience builds trust within the locker room. Players believe the guy next to them will do his job. Coaches believe their adjustments will be executed. That collective belief is powerful in a game where momentum can flip in a single play. This Super Bowl is not about one star carrying the team. It's about connected football, complementary phases, offense sustaining drives, defense getting stops, special teams controlling field position. When the Patriots are at their best, they don't rely on one hero. They rely on everyone doing exactly what they're asked to do. That's the formula they've leaned on all season, and there's no indication they plan to change it now. As fans, this is the moment you wait for. The nerves, the excitement, the hours leading up to kickoff when everything feels possible. No matter how it ends, this team has put itself in position through discipline, resilience, and belief. Now it comes down to execution on the biggest stage there is. And as we get closer to kickoff, the conversation naturally shifts from preparation to trust. Trust in the plan, trust in the personnel, and trust in the moments that will inevitably define this game. Super Bowls are rarely clean. They are messy, emotional, and often decided by how teams respond when something unexpected happens. A blown assignment, a sudden turnover, a drive that stalls when points feel automatic. The Patriots have been preparing all week for those moments just as much as they've been preparing for the scripted opening drives. What gives this team an edge mentally is that nothing about this run feels fluky. They didn't sneak into this position. They earned it week after week by winning tough games, adjusting on the fly, and showing growth at the right time of the season. That matters because when pressure hits its peak, teams fall back on habits. The Patriots' habits right now are built around discipline, communication, and situational awareness. The matchup itself is a contrast of styles. Seattle wants to impose its will with speed and aggression. They want to create negative plays, get the crowd involved, and force quarterbacks into rushed decisions. The Patriots want control, tempo, balance. They want to dictate how the game is played, not react to it. That chess match between philosophies is going to unfold snap by snap, and whichever side imposes its identity more consistently will be the one lifting the trophy. Another underrated factor is how this team has handled the spotlight. Media week, travel, interviews, obligations. It can drain teams emotionally before they ever step on the field. Yet everything coming out of the Patriots camp points to a group that hasn't lost its edge. Players are focused but loose, serious but not tense. That balance is difficult to achieve, and it usually only comes when a locker room truly believes it belongs on this stage. You also can't ignore how important early moments will be. The first defensive stop, the first sustained offensive drive, the first third down conversion, these plays don't decide the game outright, but they set the tone. They tell both sidelines what kind of night it's going to be. The Patriots understand that starting fast doesn't mean forcing plays. It means executing cleanly and letting the game come to them. At the end of the day, this Super Bowl represents more than just another championship opportunity. It represents validation for a roster that has grown together, for a quarterback stepping into the biggest moment of his young career, and for a coaching staff that has methodically built this team to handle nights like this. Everything team's done all season points to readiness. Now they have to prove it between the lines. You also can't ignore how important early moments will be. The first defensive stop, the first sustained offensive drive, the first third down conversion. These plays don't decide the game outright, but they set the tone. They tell both sidelines what kind of night it's going to be. The Patriots understand that starting fast doesn't mean forcing plays. It means executing cleanly and letting the game come to them. At the end of the day, this Super Bowl represents more than just another championship opportunity. It represents validation for a roster that has grown together, for a quarterback stepping into the biggest moment of his young career, and for a coaching staff that has methodically built this team to handle nights like this. Everything they've done all season points to readiness. Now they have to prove it between the lines.